3.
We will
Perfect.
And with that, I call this meeting of the Polson District School Board of Trustees to order. Would everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Crowd, would you please lead us?
I will. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. Okay, a couple of quick reminders. First of all, thank you everyone for coming out tonight with the inclement weather continuing to tease us, and with sunshine and thunder and back and forth. I appreciate you coming out tonight. Please turn off your cell phones. Couple of other reminders for public participation. Quick question, anybody here with public comments regarding a non-agenda item? Raise your hand. Okay, seeing none. Just a quick reminder for any of you who have public comments throughout the meeting. We ask everyone to limit those comments to no more than 3 minutes. This is a quick reminder to everybody. A public school board meeting is a business meeting that essentially takes place in public. It's not like a town hall meeting where we get into deep, dark discussions about policy and all of that kind of thing. That's more of a committee meeting or something like that. Sometimes people get confused about the role of school board in a public school board meeting. If you have questions about things like policy or how things work, or you want to enter into a debate, those kinds of issues are better in a committee or sometimes in a private meeting. But if you have questions about how that works, I'm certainly happy to answer about how the process works. But generally, the business meeting is not where that takes place. So if you do have public comments, a lot of times the best we can do is go, thank you very much. We will take that into consideration, but it's not an open debate. And sometimes the public gets concerned or frustrated about that when we're not able to enter into that kind of discussion. So that's just a quick reminder. With that, Mary asked for... I will assume this is not editorial in nature, but you never know. No, you're fine. With that, do we have any board comments at this time on non-agenda items? Okay. Seeing none, let's jump right into our meeting. The approval of the minutes.
I will. Non-agenda.
Oh, okay. Sure.
I wasn't going to. Just to put things in perspective for tonight, our school district suffered a loss last weekend. I just want to make sure that we acknowledge that. Our condolences to the family and to our staff. Tough time for kids and staff. I'd like to acknowledge high school administration in their way of handling the situation, both Jay and Scott, opening the school up on Sunday for kid support. I think that tells a lot about how they believe in kids and what they need. So again, wasn't going to make sure it was the right time, but I think we need to understand the severity of what those Polson High Schools going through right now, and they're in the family. So acknowledge that as well.
Thank you, Bryce. Any other comments? Appreciate that. Okay. With that, let's go ahead and begin with addressing the business at hand. We have the approval of the minutes, item number 1, April 16th special board meeting. Do we have any additions or corrections for that April 16th special board meeting minutes? Seeing none at this time, I would entertain a motion to approve those meeting minutes. Sure. We have a motion and second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving those special board meeting minutes as submitted signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? special board meeting minutes are passed. Do we have any additions or corrections on item number 2, which is the regular board meeting minutes for April 16th? Seeing no additions or corrections, I would entertain a motion to pass those as submitted. I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Observing no discussion, all those in favor of passing the regular board meeting minutes as submitted for April 16th signify by saying aye. All those opposed, the regular board meeting minutes for April 16th are passed as submitted. All right, with that, we move directly on to board reorganization. Number 3, canvass of county election voting results. Ms. Clary.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Hello, trustees. Tonight we have the canvas of the votes from our commissioners yesterday in your packets, in your green folders, the results, and we will be introducing and swearing in our newest trustee, Mr. Tony Newski, and welcoming back our trustees that have been re-elected for another term, Ms. Shannon Bocarquez, Shane Orion, and Alan Anderson. So if you would take a moment to look at your canvas and make sure that that's what you want to do and have a motion to approve those. They are our official election administrators, so they did do the count, but you have the action to approve it and accept it, and then we will send this piece of paper around that you all sign that we have done it, and then we will have the superintendent of the county schools, Carolyn Paul, swear in the trustees.
There's a couple of changes in this agenda. One, we didn't believe that Ms. Hall was going to be with us tonight, so you'll see reference to Ms. Fricker. But we were able, someone was able to clear schedules, and Ms. Hall is able to join us tonight. So where it says Ms. Fricker will be swearing in, it's not. And there's a couple times it says that.
So do we have any questions regarding the canvas results? At this time, do you just need a motion approving the canvas as submitted?
Yes.
I would entertain a motion to approve the canvas as submitted. Second. We have a motion and a second. Do we have any comments from the public? Do we have any further discussion on the board? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the official canvas for candidates elected by acclamation signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The official canvas is approved.
And so I will pass this down, and you'll each have a place to sign on there. We can file that with the office. Yeah, just each one of the trustees.
All right. Do you want to wait till that is complete, or shall we move on to?
It can keep moving, and Ms. Hall can administer the votes.
Okay. All right. So what was the introduction of the new trustees?
I did that.
Okay.
You want me to read it?
I think you already did that. We did that on board. No, that's all right. I'm just making it reflect that in minutes that we need to take care of the
Right. We'll sign after you.
Yeah, we always have some time.
Very comfortable.
This is
make it.
Oh my gosh, I seriously just not to call very well, so I'm pretty rude.
Out the door.
I've got a Luden's. Kristen, I've got a Luden's cough drop.
I said I just need to come off really loud. Whatever he was laughing at. Sure.
Why'd you keep that on there?
No, I can. No, it's on the way.
You can put it right there.
Sorry about that.
Just making sure I know where to sign. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support, protect, and defend
that I will support, protect, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Montana,
and the Constitution of the State of Montana,
and that I will discharge the duties
and that I will discharge the duties
of my office
of my office
with fidelity,
with fidelity,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations. Thank you for serving.
Let's give the trustees a round of applause. I know it all looks so glamorous from up here, but service is a commitment. I think there are all right, moving on to item number 6, election of board chairman. Ms. Clary, do you want to take over from here?
At this time, I will accept nominations for board chair. Mr. Clark?
Thank you. I would like to nominate Chanel Lake for chair.
I'll second.
Are there any other nominations for board chair? Are there any other nominations for board chair? Last call. Any other nominations for board chair? Okay, at this time, we will have a vote to place Ms. Lake as board chair of School District 23 trustees. All in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Congratulations, Ms. Lake, you are board chair. Thank you. So now you can take over.
Now I take over?
Yeah, for
Okay, so now we're going to let the vice chair. Any nominations? Sorry, I'm not used to that.
I would like to nominate Mr. Tim McGinnis for vice chair.
I would second. Any other nominations for vice chair?
Little sniper nomination.
Go ahead and ask it again. Okay, any other nominations? bear with me. Okay. All in favor of Mr. McGinnis being vice chair, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, congratulations. Yay.
Boy, you got a slacker on your side.
Okay. So now we appoint the board clerk. So do I have to ask for nomination? Okay. I would take a nomination for the board clerk.
I nominate Ms. Pamela Clary instead of board clerk.
Second.
Are there any other nominations for board clerk? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Yay.
And with all two.
Okay.
When,
Sorry, Mike.
and then there's a certificate. Did they all sign this one? The chair.
I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support, protect, and defend
that I will support,
protect
protect, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Montana,
and the Constitution of the State of Montana,
and that I will discharge my duties
and that I will discharge my duties
with fidelity.
with fidelity.
So help me God.
So help me God.
And she does, by the way. That's the truth. You need your form also. Okay. Your appointment of the clerk. And so, that's fine. Okay, now I can breathe.
Yeah?
You don't know how fast I drove.
Do you have any more work in the
Not
back?
tonight, but yes.
Well, take it easy on the way home.
You're not sticking around?
Oh, I am.
Okay, we all good? Thank you, Mrs.
Official
Ross.
now.
Okay. Okay, so before we get started, we're just gonna thank Mrs. McDonald. I think she's been our board chair for at least 4 years. Am I right? Almost 5.
Almost 4.
Yeah, so thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we ready? Here we go. Update from our high school representative, Eve.
I'm Beatrix Frizzell. I'm the school vice president. The theater production play was on Thursday and Friday last week in the Polson High School auditorium. AP tests started last week and continue on to this week. The National Honor Society is holding a pennies for patients drive at the high school. Boxes are distributed throughout the school for students to donate their loose change to help children with leukemia. The National Honor Society is holding the National Honor Society induction ceremony for upcoming juniors is Wednesday, May 23rd at 7 p.m. The Polson High School Band and Choir Pop Concert theme is movie night and will be at 7 p.m. in the Polson High School gym, Tuesday, May 22nd. BOG election executive officers were held on May 2nd. Nico Rivers, the new vice president. Davis Smith is the Nico Rivers, the new president, excuse me. Davis Smith is the vice president. Secretary is Ashley Howell, and treasurer is Asher Dalton. There was a special Olympics Respect rally with a guest speaker on Tuesday, May 8th. The divisionals track meet will be held at Polson this Friday and Saturday. State will be in Laurel next week. Softball will have games Tuesday and Thursday of this week here in Polson, with State in Frenchtown next week. Polson Lane Pirate softball player Vanessa Kent is a nominee for the Missoulian Prep Athlete of the Week. You can vote for her on the Missoulian website. Divisionals tennis is in Libby this Thursday and Friday, and State is next week. And the Key Club held a suicide awareness week last week, and they painted the front doors and bathroom mirrors and distributed lifesaver candies with the suicide hotline.
Thank you. Any questions for me?
Can I add one thing I forgot to tell you about? For the first time at the state track meet, there is going to be unified Special Olympic races that we will be participating. We will be sending 2 females, 2 male Special Olympians, and then their unified partners. So on Saturday, they will be running a 4x100 meter relay and a 4x400 meter relay. So this is kind of the first annual, and it'll be fairly small. There's only, I think, 3 Class A teams going to compete in it, but we're one of them. So.
I wanted to ask something too. I didn't know we can vote for Athlete of the Year
Yeah.
too,
So,
and I saw that Kaylin was on there.
oh yeah.
Okay. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, and that one actually has a scholarship tied to it, so I know she would appreciate the vote. Yeah, they give out I think it's a $2,000 scholarship to the winner on that. So.
Is that through the Missouri?
No, it's through. Is it SWX Sports?
I just saw it for a brief.
I can't remember. I just. Yeah, I don't know for sure which sports channel it is, but so yeah.
Any questions? Follow-up?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, number 10, we're not going to have this meeting. Number 11, Colson Scholarship and Education Foundation. Is anybody here from that?
I won't see them.
Okay. Indian Education Committee, update.
Hello, my name is Chauncey Means, Indian Education Committee Chair. So Monday the 21st, we're having our next meeting. It's at 5:30 at Cherry Valley. We have dinner, and then the meeting will start at 6. Public is more than welcome. Board, you're more than welcome to come. That'll be our annual election meeting. We will elect a new chair and a new member at large. So I don't know if it'll be this much to have fun, but, but yeah, we'll have our own little shindig. So yeah, anybody, public, more than welcome. Come on down. Thank you.
You said Cherry Valley?
Yes.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay. Number 13, Superintendent's Report. Mr. Rhodes?
It's robust. What are we, almost 10 days, 11 days later than our regular scheduled board meeting. So there's a lot, and quite frankly, I didn't get it all as well. There's a lot going on in the school district this time of year. May seems to be just every night something's going on. I think softball, we had something every night at the high school fields. As you know, I did had the student tragedy, and we talked about that. And again, I want that to be the perspective of life is precious, and everything else we talk about moves forward from there. There are several things that I would like to address. I would start out with recognition. I think it's important to have students in front of us. It's important to recognize people that do good things. We often, and for our new trustee, Tony, is that we've started a process where we always celebrate kids. We have kids in front of us, and I think that sets the tone of what we're about, why we do our work. There's a lot of times we get into the business side of it, but we forget that why we do this work, and it's really for these people that sit beside us and the kids in our classrooms. But that doesn't happen unless we have good people around us and being recognized. And there's some people in our audience tonight that will be recognized. Behind, up on the screen, was last week, Teacher Appreciation Week. And really, in our district, and especially at the high school level, when I was there, and I think the rest of us, we don't just appreciate teachers, we appreciate everybody working with kids. And we lump them together for most of the time. So I publicly want to make sure that we acknowledge all teachers and all people who work with kids in our district, how much we appreciate them. I sent a letter or a quick note on Monday morning saying that this week we say it, but we think it all the time. And we think about teachers all the time and the people that work with our students. So again, we do appreciate our staff. Mr. Yarbrough, one quickly there is a vice president. So we had made a pact that we want to get involved in organizations, that Polson's administration wants to be the forefront. We want to get involved in associations. Mr. Yarbrough will be the vice president of the Montana Western Region Montana Middle School Principal Association. So he'll be the vice president of that. And what happens there is then you move in to be the presidency after 2 years? 1 year. 1 year. It's a faster turnaround. So in a year, he'll be the president. So commend him for putting this foot forward. Food nutrition. Excellent. We received certificates of appreciation of our food nutrition program through OPI. I'd like to acknowledge 3 individuals that put a few years in to our district. Beth Bailey. She's embarrassed. 27 years in food nutrition services, and so on behalf of OPI, but more importantly on behalf of us, thank you for your dedication to our students. Thank you. Did I say how many years? Yeah. It says 26 on there, but it's really 27. I was correct. Debbie Jones. Debbie has 24 years in our food nutrition program in our district. So thank you for your effort. I appreciate it. Way in the back row. Malika, Malika, come on up. 21 years, I believe. Is that?
No, 96.
Thank you for your So those 3 may not know it, so a special place in my heart for our food nutrition services workers. My mom was a food for a school cook for 22 years, and so I got to firsthand see the importance of how nutrition people that are feeding their students. Probably, if not the custodial staff, it's our food nutrition staff. It's probably one of the most important people, are the most important people in our district. Feeding kids and making sure our schools are clean and safe. Anyway, thank you for your service. I appreciate that. Moving on. Also, in recognition, he is not here tonight, but Mr. Todd, Marvin Todd out of middle school, for 20-some years of teaching driver's ed in our district. He's moving on and retiring out of the Postal School District, but he has over 20 years of teaching driver's ed. So, if that doesn't, that has to be a love-hate relationship. And I do remember when I was formulating my driver's ed teacher. And so for his service, over 20 years of driver's ed instruction, I commend him as well. We also had, I'll run through these quickly. We had Polson Reed's volunteer luncheon. The first time we had it in here. Had over 25 of our Polson Reed volunteers, and we served them lunch. Edna served them lunch, and we had to participate and tell some stories. And so, tremendous. Again, this time of year we get to celebrate all these great things, but that was phenomenal. We had a couple of visiting artists through our district last week. John Pepion and Frank Finley visited our district and did ledger art. It was a combination of local tribe and another tribe coming together and showing their artwork. And so that was a great thing for us. And then Mr. Yarbrough and staff, bus maintenance, or the bus transportation director, and some paras admin team went out to Elmo with a bus, and we did some bus safety training with parents, and went out to the community, partnered with Tribe, which fed dinner at the same time, and so that was very well perceived. The Cherry Valley Knights of the Art, and then if I just go into this, Linderman, it's just one school, but Linderman had a myriad of things going on. If you look at what I had written, what's documented, with Glacier Field Trips, river honoring, Agricultural Day. Miss Montana was there, give her gift. We learned a little bit about that. We had an author visit, 3rd and 4th grade learning STEAM night. Parent, we had a Mother's Day tea where they read poetry, and we had a fundraiser night. I feel like I'm missing a couple of other things. The dental screening, where over 250, almost 270 kids had sealants for second, 3rd, and 4th grade for our students. So is that right? 270 something? Moving down, one of the other really powerful things that I got to witness last week was our Respect rally at the high school. Our special ed department, Chris Kelly. We've heard a lot about her in the last 3 or 4 months. Again, doing our special ed at state track meet. We had a Respect rally, and so it really just honored all of our special needs students in front of the general population. It was very emotional, very powerful ceremony, and nothing like seeing our kids getting rewarded and awarded in front of their peers. It was pretty powerful. We also had a career day at the high school. A lot of work went in that with Mrs. Wade and Mrs. Johnson, counselors up there. We had freshman parent night, probably one of the best attended. Lots of freshman parents. Core value meeting, our core value committee. I think we're 99.9% of the way done. We need to get graphic artistry. We need to sexy it up a little. It needs to get better, but we have a document that we put a lot of time and energy into, and I included that into your green packets, and so if you take a look at it, just know that the fonts and the posters are not there yet, but that is the meat of it. And so I'll bring it to us more in more detail later. I want to talk a little bit about swimming lessons. Kristen and I worked a lot. Kristen kept pushing me hard to get this thing moving. There's a lot of the political side of getting it started. There's a lot of the paperwork needed, the funding of it, the administration of it. I went and got to volunteer and help out, supervise the locker room, make sure everybody's out in time. One of the best things we've done in a long time is to get our kids in that pool. It was amazing. It really was. Chris can speak on it, and I am going to bring some teachers in the future to talk a little about that. We have students in 2nd grade that wouldn't put their toe in the water. 3 weeks later, 8 lessons, I believe, 8 lessons later, they're swimming. Right? A little bit, and there's a lot behind that. But I do know that we have a big pond out there with a lot of unsupervised students that swim in the summer, and I want them to be able to take care of themselves. Not that it's an immediate threat, but that always lingers. And so just having students with life skills. But I will tell you this is what really is important about that. Not necessarily was it just about teaching swimming, but the confidence level of all 2nd graders, from where they started to where they end, has an academic component to it that we may not be able to measure. That they feel good about themselves, that they have these big motor skills now that they're able to control and accomplish. I think it's going to help in many reasons why. I did attend a Rotary meeting yesterday, and it sounds like they're going to fund 3rd grade next year, so it'll be a 2nd and 3rd grade potentially, so we'll continue to move that forward. But, swimming was, as much as I had a rough time getting it started, it was well worth it after you go see the kids. On the other, just quickly, if you have a bike, join us on Friday, where my job is to help escort kids across the bridge on 93. That's always a good one. Liability. But we do have Ride Your Bike School Day. That's Friday, and it is another great time of the year. We heard via talk. I sent you a message earlier this week or last week that we are releasing the high school early for the divisional track meet. And I hope that you saw that. And there's several reasons why. One, we need that parking lot cleared out. We need extra help. We don't host regional track meet every year. It revolves. And so it's our turn. And parking up there is pretty tough when you have that many bodies. It's got, you know how many teams are coming in?
12 teams, 600 kids, 600 athletes.
So it's it's a big deal, and so we are going to run, Scott did a robocall, you may have received that, is that we over-communicated, it is a high school early release, and then we'll run the buses for the 9th, 10th, and 11th, and 12th, they so need, and then we'll also run the buses again at regular time for K-8. Okay. So it's been communicated, send it out, and then we'll continue to push it out to websites and newsletters back on. Yeah.
That robocall, has anybody complained about the quality of that robocall? What I heard was that it starts like with half the message and then finishes, and
You know what
starts again.
I didn't have anybody complain about it actually with the answer the phone, but that's how the message was left. It actually started halfway through, finished, went through the whole message, and then, the way it was explained to me, went to the front half. So you got it twice, but a half, a whole, and a half. And we have no idea why. But the people that said they got it live, I mean, that answered the phone and listened to it, said that it went through normally.
Okay,
I mean,
mine
I heard
starts when it answers, and then when you have your preamble on the
Oh, sure. Yeah, that's probably. But I don't know why it repeats itself on the message.
Probably because of that.
Yeah, and maybe.
So we can call the service
and see what.
See if that.
And I think it keeps repeating until you hang up. So it takes the whole time of your voicemail.
Oh, so
and
it
then
shuts you off
stops
at the 2
when your
minutes or
voicemail-
whatever your maximum is.
I'm just saying.
And that has happened with other robocalls that we've done in Lincoln as well.
Yeah, it's
And
the same. It doesn't matter.
district-wide robocalls that have.
Doesn't matter where it comes.
I've put in a call ticket for that before, and they have said that it's hard to know the time because everybody, you know, when your answering machine comes on, or when the cell phones, when those pick up and stuff, that time, it doesn't recognize, you know, the answering machine. It might think it's a live voice and start in, and then when it beeps, then you're already halfway through it.
Well, it takes your entire memory of you got the message.
We got it. I'm clear.
I have a question. Do you guys, are the high schoolers like volunteering, are they helping with like any of the areas that they need help with?
Some are, yeah. So we have several student volunteers, some high school volunteers, some middle school volunteers, and then quite a few teachers actually that are going to help. And so we don't have all of the students. You know, we have the tennis kids are gone, and you know, softball. We don't know what's going to happen if we don't get that. You know, we will have to in that game tomorrow. You know,
They'll make it up on.
well, we have to get it made up because it's a conference game, and so we have to kind of be lenient on. We only have Friday, Saturday to get that done. So, but we do have a lot of the track kids that didn't make the varsity team that are not participating. Every one of those kids are volunteering. So
We have new trustee training, and so Tony would like to, I'll send an invite to you, or I'll give you a call, and we'll set up some time that we can visit. Something we haven't done in the past, and I'd like to start that, is what does it look like to be a board member, budgets. So I'll give you an invite, and give you a call, so you can set that time up. And I'll do that with our assistant chair and chair present, so the three of us can get together so we can discuss that. Okay. And then Mr. Wilson, you may have to help me with this one. We do, I think they're the third year. We'll have a graduation walkthrough. That's where the seniors go through every building. Pretty powerful image of all the kids. You can see the graduates walking through, I believe, Friday the 1st. Yeah. And we're still working on time.
10:30. We're just working on where we're going to start logistics-wise. Stay out of lunches.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about that, what that day looks like? So walk through and...
Yeah, so we had to go a little bit later. I had a meeting with SKC, last Wednesday, I think it was, to finalize what our graduation day will look like. So we can actually, we do a graduation practice also, so I kind of had to gear everything off of that. We normally do our graduation practice earlier, but SKC wanted us to be able to start set up at 11 and then and then have our practice at 1. And so our day will look like this. We'll meet up at the high school at 10:30 and start walking schools. And when we're done with that, then we go to a community luncheon from roughly 11:30 to probably 12:30. And then this year we'll bus the kids out to SKC, have a quick graduation practice, and then come back. And then it's going to be fairly hectic. One of the reasons that I did bump the graduation up was because the agreement that we made was that I will be out of SKC on Saturday after graduation. And so, you know, it's going to take, by the time we move all the things and help them pull the tarp up and do all that, you know, I didn't want it to get into the wee hours of the night. So it sounds like from talking with their head of maintenance, you know, it's about a 4-hour process to tear up and then clean up when you're done. So graduation will be at noon on the 2nd.
Good segue. Last item is there will be a email tomorrow asking for your invite. If you would like to sit with trustees at our graduation, we'll have a share for you that we had here. I haven't quite figured out where we're going to.
Actually, their stage is quite a bit larger than ours, and so we are going to all be up on the stage, from what it sounds like.
Thank you, trustees, for that long superintendent report. I have a couple emails that you'll have tomorrow morning.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Ross?
How are you escorting them across the bridge?
How do we?
I'm picturing pilot car.
On your mark. So Linderman, Chris McAwee does a really good job, and we have
the police department just close the bridge off.
We do have police escort.
Right behind it. So.
Oh, very cool.
We close it down, and we get people behind us, and I'm usually talking to them and tell them how great it is that they get to be part of the parade. It goes well.
Okay.
They're okay with it.
I think we should be alone.
So we have 4 sites coming in. 93, Bridge, Valley, over here, coming out of Super One area, and out the Cherry Hill Apartment site.
Okay. Facility projects update.
Facilities, Linderman. I called Dan holding the day. He just haven't heard anything for a couple of weeks. Steve and I talked 2.5 weeks ago just about the timing and how things are progressing. It takes a while. It's frustrating. And what does the plan look like, and what can we do to get it moving faster? I talked to the head engineer today. Wanted just a progress report. Where are we at? And so this is what we got. We had a surveyor come out and hit control points on both the north and north and south ends of that building, and laser shot points on from the bottom to the top of that 40-foot wall. What it indicated is that there is a lean, significant or not, it is a lean, and everything's leaning to the south. Coupled with the fact that there's potential energy that went through that Linderman gym when the parapet wall fell. There's some discussion about how much energy from the insurance standpoint to our standpoint, and that's what we've tasked both Swank and Aegis to determine quantified number of what that might look like, as Alan and I talked about the city. What of concern is the bowstring trusses and what energy they absorb or what happened into those bowstring trusses, and that's the rafter system that sits on the 5 columns that holds the roof up, if you will, keeps the box from flopping apart, if you will. So Aegis right now, after 2 days of intense data gathering, they took the numbers back to their office and they are building bowstring trusses to model and loading it with the conditions of the wall to see what it would take or what it won't take. And that has a significant bearing on what we will decide as a board in our community, is what will those strings hold and where do we need to go from that. And so what that tells us is what's wrong with it, and we ask them, we want to know what's wrong with the building. We know it's leaning and there's a hole in it. But it's what does it take to fix it and at what cost? And I asked Dan this morning, or this afternoon, I said, I'd really like to have that report yesterday. And he said, we told you it would be 45 days, and we're in the day 20. They really want to spend the time to do the assessment well and not hurry through it and guess. And so I get that. And as an organization, this isn't our home where we get to make a decision tomorrow and move forward. We have more parameters to think about, obviously. So it is that. It's simply that, is that they're building those models and we will have a report. What I don't want to do is throw money at something to fix and we don't know what it is that we need to fix. We need that information. And I can't make them go any faster than they have to go. Kristen and I talked, we are going to meet on the what ifs. What if it doesn't? You know, what do we do next year? We don't necessarily have a portable gymnasium, like a portable classroom, right? So what does that look like? What are we going to do to remedy those concerns? Portable music, perhaps. Portable library, perhaps, if we can't get in it. I would like to be able to use that facility if it's safe, but we're not going to go there. As you remember, city code deemed it not safe, so don't go in there. So that, until they get documentation from engineers that will stamp it saying it is a safe building, we're really at the whim of getting that report and finding out what we need to do.
So long story short, we're up to 25 days away from this report that quantifies it based on modeling. That's what we're saying.
Plus or minus.
Okay.
He wouldn't come out and say 21 and a half. He said, it's going to take all of 40, 45.
Okay.
And unfortunately, I pushed hard 2 weeks ago. We really want it first. We want it now. He said, we have work to do. We can't get it done any faster than what we're doing now.
And then will that information then need to go to the insurance to find out then what they will cover based on what decision we will make?
Yeah,
or
that's a great question. I had a conversation, and when I reference travelers, it's a lady by the name of Diana Johnson. Called her about a week ago. Said we're gathering a report that's going to help us determine the level of damage. Their response was, we gave you a report that had the level of damage. And I said, don't quite believe in the entire report. I want a second opinion of that. And she said, I would like to see that as well. And so when that gets there, we are going to make sure that that's visible, because it's going to come one way or the other. It's going to be that supports travelers or it's not. And I'm not going to, that's nothing that we want to hide. We're going to show that and say this is what we believe and this is where we're at. I have a community, we have a community that believes in us and we're going to do the right thing for kids and put them in a safe building. And until I get a report that says that that thing is safe, my recommendation is that we don't go there. And that's only my recommendation, and will come to you for final approval. And I do appreciate your patience. I'm going to send you as much information as I can. It is a thing that takes a while. That's what Steve and I talked about. It's frustrating. We want it done now. But we do have, when our job is we have kids in front of us, we have kids that we want to get into the right place for education setting. But man, that's, we got to make sure that we put the money to the place that it needs to be put in. What I don't want to do is fix something and come back and have the engineer say, yeah, it really wasn't need to be fixed. We just spent money we didn't need to. So we're going to be really smart on how we do it. Any other questions?
Madam Chair. Mr. Welp, is this something we should put on our website at update so the public has a place to go to get the updates? And I get that question all the time. My response is, I'm working during the day, I don't have time to attend the meetings. So.
Good point. Yes. Oh, that's a great point. Yeah.
Any other questions? Thank you. Okay, board committee updates. Facilities committee. Mr. Al?
We didn't meet this month, but we're planning on meeting on June 5th for the end of the year meeting to go over summer projects. There's plenty of those, I'm sure. Depending on how many Pam will let us do.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, can I just give one, because I know this question's come up, just so everybody knows. We're hoping the week of June 4th is when they will start tearing out the seats in the auditorium. One thing that I have added to that project is If you've been in the auditorium, you'll see that we took seats out because where the new soundboard is blocked the old access point to the entire auditorium. And so we took those seats out and so that you could walk and still get to the, I guess that would be what, the west side, southwest side of the auditorium? Northwest side, southwest side? Parking lot side. So what I did is we are going to put a viewing deck or a viewing area in there. I've got Wayland Construction coming in to do that, and then we're going to bury all of the wire for the sound system so that we can move that up onto the viewing area so that we can open up that back so that they have access to the entire auditorium again. And so we did lose, I believe it's about 12 seats to do that, but it's going to be well worth it for the ease of it. But so, like I said, they'll start taking the seats out June 4th and should have it hopefully about the middle of July done. So just so I know that's been a question for a lot of people asking when we're going to do this, so it's happening.
And you're also using that upper part as a ADA handicap area?
Yeah, I don't know if it'll for sure, because one of the things you have to put into your seating arrangement, you do have to put some handicap accessible areas. And so now that we have we didn't know you had to put so many, so we might just make that top, because some of them will be, it kind of depends on where the slope is.
I know that was a concern in the past, a lot of times
exactly.
Wheelchairs backed by the wall, people walk in front of them, there's no fun.
Yeah, so it'll be, after we get a better idea of what that's going to look like, then we can look at that. But yeah, that's definitely somewhere that somebody can sit that doesn't want to go down, even if they're in a wheelchair or not, if that slope is to get to the chairs. We will be able to pull a chair in there if you need to or something like that. So.
Okay, thank you. Policy committee?
We need to meet.
We are going to meet. That one's good.
Okay, budget committee, nothing?
No.
Okay. Negotiations committee. All right, certified staff, I believe, is meeting tomorrow. And the PCEA staff, I believe, is meeting on the 22nd.
Is that Tuesday?
Right? Okay.
So what time though? Is it 4 to 6?
I think it's 4 o'clock.
I have it starts 4 o'clock.
Okay.
Mark a 2-hour block. I'm going to do that.
Okay. So we'll have something to report when we meet, but all right, Class A caucus.
So just more of an observation, one of the things that became very apparent at the quality school grant hearings that this legislature has sort of a difficult view on funding, and that's less on the state and more on the local. And so they kind of put out some stats on right now the breakdown of where the bucks come from. Federal share, the national average is 8.3, Montana is 12%. That doesn't surprise me for rural states. That seems to be normal. State share, the national average is 47.1, Montana is 47.6. So that, and then local share, national is 44.6, and Montana is 40.4. I'm always very much leery of data, especially when you watch the latest news on some certain states. They're having some problems with pay of teachers, that maybe that average is dragged down a little bit. But I guess my point is, seeing these statistics, it will be even harder to lobby the state government for money. And so I think what that means is that we have to be prepared as a community to step up to the plate more. I mean, this doesn't help it. I mean, they will point to this in a flash and say we're doing more than our part, and it's time for local communities to do that. So just to kind of put that on your radar, that I think that trend is going to continue. I think the state will try to put more, will ask us to do more as a local community. So that's it.
I appreciate that information.
Thank you. Any questions? All right, Transportation Committee.
Correct me if I'm wrong, July, correct?
We're rescheduling that date that we had there, by the way, on.
Oh, you are?
We have to, we're a week out from when we have to report to the state, so we have to move it up a little bit. So that email should have gone out.
Okay, thank you.
Core Values Committee.
As I mentioned in the superintendent report, those values are core value belief statements are in your green folders.
Madam Chair? Does Tony want to be part of any of these committees?
Good idea.
I just wrote that.
Yeah. We would like to reorg our committees in June.
Oh, June.
Yeah.
Okay, so
And
we'll
what I-
reorganize those.
But what I am thinking is that anywhere that Cindy's name was,
Yeah.
Tony's name is being replaced. Just to placehold and then June the reorg.
Okay, perfect.
Shane tried to get you to be.
Yeah, get us right in there.
Okay, thank you. Okay, budget update. Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. At this time, I have nothing further to add besides what I put in the packet, unless there are questions.
Any questions? No? Okay. We're going to move on to the consent agenda. Number 17, approval of the payroll claims, for requests, and activity funding reports. Would entertain a motion to all on group.
So moved. Second.
Okay. Any comments? Questions? Okay. All those in favor of approving the payroll claims, travel requests, and activity funds?
Aye.
Opposed? I'm not sure. We'll get that figured out later. Okay, new business. Recommendation to approve Jive Communication Proposal. Mr. Elliott.
I will take that. Mr. Elliott's not with us this evening.
Okay.
And I will elicit there through the help of Mr. Fancher as well. As he sat in the work that was performed. Communication systems, part of the ABC plan, academic, building strong relationships, and then communication. Case in point, communication at the high school. Remember when our communication, our telephone system went down? We have I took a picture of Linderman's phone system and Bell system over there. It's been around for a while. I was going to say something, but it's been around for a while. So Carl Elliott and his committee have put hours and hours into developing a communication phone system, if you will, with vendors that have been weeded down from multiple handfuls to essentially out of the last 3, and then 2. And we had talked about it in our agenda setting. His recommendation to me and my recommendation to you is that we go with a company that's called Jive. And Adam, if you wouldn't mind stepping in and helping us with what this looks like. And, they're voice activator IP phone systems that have a lot of merit. The cost, I'll have you explain what the cost looks like,
Sure.
what we're paying now, what this looks like, and then the upgrades to the system and how it's going to benefit us as a district.
Yeah, and just to go back to the need for why now, obviously the high school, and when their communications were down, that was a huge problem. All the other systems in the district are very similar to what the high school has now, and there's frankly no guarantee if one of those phone systems goes offline that we'll be able to get it back up. We're fortunate we were able to get the high school up, but we need to be proactive as a district about making sure we put a solution in place. So we can be proactive and put something in place before we have another system fail. Looked at a lot of different vendors, a lot of different solutions, and really what made sense to Carl from the get-go. And so Carl led the committee. I was on the committee. Deb Anderson was on the committee to get some perspective from the business office and to go with a hosted voice over IP provider. So they'll host essentially the entire communication systems in multiple data centers all around the country. So they handle the redundancy, things like that. Essentially, all we need to do as a district is provide a connection to the internet, and we'll have our phones will run that way. They'll handle basically everything else. The phones will be basically phones as a service. So there's no maintenance, there's no upgrade fees. Carl worked really hard to sort of pare down the vendors and really got the best pricing for the district. I was impressed at where the pricing came to, because where we started and where we ended up, I mean, it was a good process for the district. We're going to basically be cost neutral on this. The vendor is going to be providing all brand new Cisco handsets for the district. These are top of the line VoIP handsets. The district will own them in 3 years. So if we want to reevaluate this contract, we'll own all our hardware. So we can look at, it's going to be a 3-year contract, but I don't see any reason why we wouldn't be happy, but we will own this hardware with no, well, $1,200 in upfront cost to the district. So it's going to be a big win for us. The communication system itself is much more advanced than what we have now. No more dialing to individual buildings. We'll have district-wide extensions. So if Mr. Welts wants to call someone at the high school, he can just pop the 3-digit extension in, and every phone will have a directory where you can search people by name rather than teachers will have some really neat new features. They'll be able to redirect their extensions from their classroom to their personal devices if they choose to. So if they leave at 5 o'clock and they want to take phone calls from parents at 6, no longer do they have to give out their personal cell number. Parents can call their extension and then be redirected to their cell phone. So there's a lot of really, really neat advantages. The cost to the district is basically negligible. I saw some of the quotes from what some of the other vendors were proposing, and it's really going to be a win for the district, I think. Makes sense to do it now. We have a whole summer to implement it. We've just kind of made some upgrades with our network, and we're ready to support it. Our uptime on our internet's good. We don't have outages. You know, that was one of my questions going into it, is how do we support this as an IT department? And I'm after visiting with Carl, talking with the vendors, and there's some redundancy in their systems too, where we have 2 backup lines. If for some reason the internet's out, anyone can pick up a handset and get out to 911 or something like that in an emergency. So they sort of answered all of the questions I had about safety, security. You know, what does this really mean running these things through our IP network and through our internet connection, and so I think it's going to be a positive thing for the district. It's been well thought out, well vetted. It's been a process that we had 2 really competitive vendors, and we had to make a tough choice, but I think we made the correct one. And I know Carl's not here today, but I think he would agree with everything I've said. I've kind of been in the process all the way through, and I can answer any questions if we haven't.
Thank you. Any questions? So this 3-year term covers basically the cost of all this equipment, that the contract that we're holding true to for the 3?
We're signing a 3-year contract to get our business. They're essentially providing the handsets as part of that. There's no, outside of the handsets, the physical phones in the classrooms and at the secretary's desks, there's no real hardware involved. It's a service, so we're agreeing to pay them for this service for 3 years. And so that's the incentive for them to provide that hardware, is to win our business for that time.
Fiscal responsibility, there was one company that stood out, absolutely the best service of all the vendors. Carl worked him over hard, persistent consistency. He just brought him down, but at the end of the day, he still couldn't come to you and say, we recommend this company, when Jive gave us this price. It's cost neutral, $2,400 a month in phone services, and that's what this is roughly going to be. The other company would have been more than that, obviously. So this is the recommendation. This is the best recommendation we have.
Any other questions?
Will they provide and maintain the equipment for you?
Yeah, the phones are brand new and under warranty through Cisco, so they're an enterprise hardware. So and Jive is a reputable. I mean, they've got contracts with school districts all over the country. So this isn't, what we're doing here isn't unusual. It's actually really common, and I think a smart move for the district.
They are a school district communications company.
Questions from that? Okay, I entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the Joint Communications
proposal is submitted.
Questions? All those in favor? Opposed? Okay. Number 19, recommendation to approve PEA MOU. Mr. Crosby.
Yes. So the last few months, I've been working with the stipend committee, and we've gone through a process of taking a look at the stipend schedule that we pay for our coaches. It covers mentors, teachers, things like that. It's about I think the whole budget is about $250,000 all in. And so we've been looking at that because it really needed revising. We've had several committee meetings, and we've worked basically from the top down. So what we did is we collected data from all across Montana. We averaged out all of the A schools in Montana to find out where our positions relate to them. In the process of doing that, we're also trying to identify other positions that we needed, what were the other needs that were in the district. At this point in our discussions, it's taken a little longer than we initially thought, but we really want to do a good job. So basically, we've pretty much taken care of the high school. We took a look at the high school coaching positions. Most of the head high school coaching positions were above the average in the state, so they're in good places. We have readjusted some of the assistant coach positions, but the one thing that kept on coming through was we needed to be able to better prepare our athletes during the summer. We have a weight room over at the high school, which has been used, for a long time, and somebody usually supervises that, but that's pretty much all that it's been. The feeling from the committee is we really needed somebody in a position to be the person to coordinate the use of that weight room over the summer. Not just to be there, but to actually work with all the other coaches in the district to figure out what the best strategy is for preparing these athletes for all the different sports that are coming up. So we're only about halfway through the revision of the stipend, so we really thought that this position was very important, and so that's why it's coming to you as an MOU, because we don't have the stipend schedule all done. We've got a lot of work to do at the middle school level right now. So we're bringing this to you now with the hope that you would agree with the recommendation to approve this as a position for the summer, so that then we can get a job description written up, we can get somebody, we'll advertise it, we'll get somebody in that position for this summer, and then go from there. Scott, did you want to add?
Maybe speak on behalf of this. This is not just open the weight room. This is a program.
So the one thing that is, in this day and age, it is your weight program is so much more than just going in and seeing how much you can bench press or whatnot. It is a whole process if you want to best prepare your kids. And one of the things that we wanted to do was we have some expertise that we feel that can run that rather than having the football coaches open it for football kids at this time and then basketball at this time, and we want to have it so that we have a program in place and individualize the programs based on the athletes' sports that they are in. There is a lot of crossover between the different things. But like I said, it's not just you just go in and lift and then you go home. It's you start out the day with a very intensive warm-up, which is part of it. Then you do your lifting routine, and then there is something at the end of the day. The person that's going to be hired for this is going to be in charge of how many of our athletes that we get during the summer, but building programs and helping those students maintain those programs. Probably be about a 4-hour every morning. We're still working on what time works best for our student athletes. But it is something that there are lots of schools already doing this, and we're seeing a great benefit of those schools, and it is allowing them to be more competitive overall. And I think the one thing that's an underlying theme is that by buying into a program with a person that's well versed and whatnot in that, we are also going to do a better job with the safety of our athletes, with the proper warm-up, proper supervision, and then, like I said, rather than just having coaches in there, this person, is hopefully, once we hire, will be well versed in that. So.
So did you say then that there'd be special sessions for each particular?
So no, we will try to get rid of that part. Right now we have special sessions. We're trying to get it to build more of pirate athletics, later pirate athletics. I mean, just so we were actually, there's only going to be actually 2 sessions that the students, and it won't be what we've done in the past, like I said, is you just open up the weight room, the kids come in. We have programs for them, but they can come and go as they please. And this is going to be more of a structure so that we can help with the safety aspect of that. So there will be 2 sessions, about an hour and a half to an hour 45 minutes each, and then some time for the other part of the main
So all the sport participants will be together?
Yes. Yeah, depending on what time works for them.
I know, I think it's excellent.
So then would there be time, room for those students that are not participating in any particular athletic event to?
We don't, but they are more than welcome. The program that we're looking at doing is not sport specific. It's not just athletic. It's more of building your body, and so it's it really can be done by anybody. It's but we're just going, like I said, we're looking at trying to get it open at 2 different sessions, and it's open to anybody, athlete or not.
Any other questions?
And this is not an ad. I mean, I'm giving up one of the stipends at the high school that we currently don't always use, and just said, hey, let's use that for this. And so it's not an add-on.
So this is a revenue neutral proposition?
Yes.
Love that.
Is this something that would be great for? Get up and move.
Yeah.
Might have to turn a little bigger.
Yeah, I don't know that. It's very exciting. I mean, it's something that we've been trying to talk about for a couple of years here, just trying to figure out the logistics, but I think it's time.
But one of the things that our second review committee, the things that I heard when I first got here in 2012 is the inconsistency of programs. And this will bring consistency to programs where everyone's doing the same thing. We're working together. We have one goal is to get better, stronger. And so I think this is, again, we've been talking a lot in our committee about uniting our programs with more of a common focus.
Question, is it only high school, like maybe 8th grade upcoming freshmen?
So the upcoming freshmen for sure. We are working on that as we have not worked that logistic out yet of middle school. When you have 7th and 8th graders, it's a whole different process. You're really trying to, high rep, build bone density, to build it, and then when you get to high school, then they can still start seeing strength increments. So we're trying to figure out how we want to do that. It would not go, I don't believe, go below like a 7th grader.
Yeah.
So.
Any questions from the public? Okay.
That was answering that question.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I move we approve the recommendation of the PEA MOU.
Second. First and second. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Recommendation to approve health insurance proposal, Mr. McKee.
Good evening. How are we doing? Well, for the first time in my experience as a teacher in this district, certainly my first time since I've been on the insurance committee, I come to you with the insurance rates going down. I think for a number of reasons. So you have the summary sheet for you for a number of the different agencies and what their bids came in at. So we worked through Maine West Insurance again, and he worked with all of the people who are legitimate players in the group health insurance field and got bids from everybody that would reasonably provide insurance for us. You'll be happy with your superintendent. I really tried to talk him into that 50% increase thing. You got yourself a sharp cookie. So you have Cigna and UHC, you'll notice, were both dramatic increases, and so we threw those guys out. some questions, you know, we had on, we're like, well, hey, Montana Co-op looks pretty good. A 6.4% decrease. The thing with Montana Co-op is Montana Co-op just depends on the ACA subsidies a great deal. And we all know how the wind is blowing back east right now. And those subsidies exist on a day-to-day basis. And those subsidies go away and they would be back here going, hey, guess what? Your premiums are going up in the middle of the year. So we weren't very comfortable with that. Allegiance also had some low numbers. They came in with a 14% and 11% decrease on the two lower plans, and then a 2.18% decrease on the higher plan. And really, that's where most of our employees are, is we're on that higher plan. So really, that wasn't really much of a savings. The other thing with Allegiant, you'll notice that it got an asterisk. That's a serious asterisk. Their rates are not firm. They would require medical underwriting, so they would, for us to go with Allegiant, they're going to send out a health survey to every employee in the district. You got to get every employee to fill that out and send it back to them, which is a miserable experience. I've been through that before. It is just like pulling teeth to get those things back. And then they could read all those and come back and say, well, actually, your insurance rates are going to be something different than this. So also their plans are not apples to apples. Their deductibles and everything weren't the same as everybody else. So we really felt like it was an effort to sort of obfuscate what their rates were really going to be. So we weren't tickled with those guys either. So those, you know, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Montana came in, and Rob worked really hard with them in the last couple of days leading up to the committee's decision. He got the two of them in a bidding war and beating each other up and everything, and they kept kind of coming down and down and down. So they sharpened up their pencils pretty good. Pacific Source is our current provider, and they finally came back with 0. And Blue Cross Blue Shield came in with a 1.77% cut in our insurance premiums. So I'm going to steal a word from Carl from his Jive proposal. We went with what we felt was the most responsible lowest bid, which we feel is Blue Cross Blue Shield. So the insurance committee voted unanimously to recommend to you that we move to Blue Cross Blue Shield this year. There's sort of a feeling of inertia of wanting to stay with Pacific Source because people then wouldn't have to get new insurance cards and stuff, but we just new insurance cards is worth 1.77%. That's a couple $100 in premiums over the year. I really want to throw it out to the employees of the district. Really, the only reason our insurance rates are going down is because we didn't use as much insurance this year. We're basically on our own group, and our insurance rates are going to go up and go down based on how much insurance we use as a group. And we used less insurance this year, and I think that's a couple of reasons. One is there's just normal fluctuation in how much insurance you use from year to year. It's just not the same every year. And I think maybe part of it was a low year. Second of all, I've been working really hard at getting people switched over to that high deductible health plan and get a health savings account. And use it, put their premium savings in a health savings account. So you can use that health savings account for first dollar stuff. So people are using it, building up money now in those health savings accounts, and you can use that. Go to the doctor, buy glasses, prescriptions, all of that kind of stuff, and you're not having to file insurance claims for that stuff. And the less we use that first dollar insurance claims, the better off we are in the long run. We got a wellness committee going. I hope you guys can encourage that and keep that going as much as possible. The healthier we can make ourselves as a group, and the less insurance we use, the less money we're going to spend on insurance over the long term. So that's the insurance committee's recommendation, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Is the health savings account automatically deducted, or do you have to set up your own account?
No, it's offered through the district, so that comes out of my paycheck and goes right into my health savings account. I just never see it. Yeah. So they're slick. I really like the health savings account.
Any other questions?
Okay.
Okay, entertain a motion.
Looks like a firecracker.
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Boom. There you go. Thank you. You're all done. Oh boy. Recommendation to approve revised 2018-2019 school calendar. Sorry. Mr. Yarbrough, Mr. Wells, Mr. Wells, sorry.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's back.
Okay.
It's easy.
Okay.
Disclaimer, I said in the memo, this state music festival, it's not, it's district, it's in Kalispell, regardless of what it is. We have about 150 students, just over 150 students that will be affected by this calendar change or not. A co-curricular event of District Music Festival is a graded activity. It's part of the Montana High School Association, and it takes place, what we didn't realize, on the weekend, or the week of our proposed calendar spring break. So what I'm asking you is, the recommendation for me is just to flip our spring break up 1 week, makes third quarter 1 week shorter, makes fourth quarter 1 week longer. It is an easy fix. It doesn't take a lot. It's just that we need, if we are going to require our students, and it's a graded activity, or co-curricular, extracurricular, co-curricular, meaning graded, then we want our students not to be on spring break or out of this town, and them working towards their performance and then not having them around. So I apologize for not catching that earlier, but it is simply asking you just to roll that spring break up 1 week so that we have our kids in school.
Any questions?
Does anybody look, what other activities does it affect, sporting wise or extracurricular wise?
Spring break always is going to affect, I mean, before school starts, Christmas break, spring break are always going to affect sports. I mean, they're that part. But I think the big difference everybody needs to remember is that when you play a sport that is an extracurricular activity, you're choosing to do that, you're going to make some sacrifice. Where this is a co-curricular, either week that you do it, our sports teams are going to be playing. So they're going to be, it doesn't matter when the spring break is. Once we get to the last week of March, from then until the end of the school year, our spring sports are all going to be in session. So it's not going to affect anybody else. But the co-curricular part, because those kids are graded on their performance for their school grade, their semester grade, then that's a lot bigger of a commitment by those kids.
Any other questions? Public questions, anything? Okay, I entertain a motion.
I move that we accept the revision as proposed.
Second. All those in favor? Opposed?
I've been fighting for that for years. Now I gotta start baseball on April 1st.
Your first board meeting, you got to fix.
Okay, thank you. Next, recommendation to approve Montana High School Association dues and fees. Mr. Grant.
I'll take that. So each year, in order for us to compete in the high school sports that we do, including our activities, which is speech, debate, drama, and music and choir, we have to pay fees. So each activity requires a certain fee. I can't get my board packet to up. Are we also doing insurance and dues and the whole works? Okay. And then there are certain things, concussion insurance, liability insurance, things like that we also have to do. So I don't believe there's any increase this year in the dues. Yeah. And so it's just something that allows us to be a part of the Montana High School Association and let our kids compete at the state level. Yeah, exactly.
Any questions? Public?
I move that we approve the fees.
Second.
rehire of non-tenured certified employees.
I will take that. Mr. Elliott is gone. There's two recommendations before you, both the elementary district and the high school district. I'd recommend, let's start with the elementary. I think that's what's first in your packet. The elementary district to rehire non-tenured certified staff for the 18-19 school year. You'll note that the asterisk states that this approval, then tenured teachers will be there. So that will be the tenured year.
Any questions, comments? Public comments, questions? Okay. I would entertain a motion to approve the elementary district non-tenured certified employees. So moved. Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Elementary district passed. Okay, high school district.
Again, same recommendation. High school district non-tenured.
Any questions, comments? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? High school district passed. Recommendation to approve reasonable assurance of employment for classified employees.
Again, Mr. Elliott's not here. I will take that one. I would ask that you approve the recommendation for reasonable assurance employment for certified employees. The list is provided.
Any questions or comments on the board? Other questions or comments? Okay. Seeing none, I will entertain a motion. Second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passed. Recommendation to approve rehire of non-represented employees.
Again, it's, as submitted, I recommend that we approve the rehire of our non-rep staff.
Okay. Questions or comments from the board? Public? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion.
Second.
Any other discussion? All right. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Recommendation to approve personnel report.
Okay. Item 26, as submitted, I would recommend that we approve the report as you see in your packet or submitted.
So we'll do the high school report first. Any questions, comments? Okay, I'm entertaining a motion for the high school report.
I move we accept the high school personnel report as submitted.
Now, second.
Second.
Thank you. Any other discussion or questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. And we're moving on to the personal report for the elementary school district. Any questions or comments? Okay, entertain a motion.
I move we accept the personnel report for the elementary school district as submitted.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Recommendation to approve other district reports. Mr. Wilson.
Again, we have two reports, elementary and high school district. Elementary being the first, 2 students out of the district are OODs. I recommend that we approve the report as submitted.
Oh, sorry.
No, great, perfect. Like we all are not saying that. Okay, any further discussion or questions? Okay, all in favor of approving the elementary district report? Yeah,
Who's second?
Shane? Oh,
No,
no,
I
got Shannon.
Oh, Shannon, sorry, I thought it was Shannon. Sorry. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, out of district for the high school district students. I would entertain a motion for that. Second.
Works, we speak as one.
Okay, any further discussion?
You've been doing this so long.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. They all passed. Okay, any other business we need to talk about? Okay, this meeting is adjourned.
Gavel.
Thanks.
Well done.
Sheesh.